Imagine holding 5 cents in your hand, a common piece of metal you would normally toss in a cup holder or ignore at the bottom of a checkout lane. For most people, it represents nothing more than a fraction of a dollar. But what if one specific 5-cent coin, minted in a year of cultural transition and hidden inside ordinary pocket change, carried a secret that could completely change your financial reality? What if a tiny, nearly invisible mistake made by an overworked machine decades ago turned a single piece of pocket change into an ultra-rare treasure worth thousands of dollars? This is not a fantasy. It is the real-world mystery of the 1981 Philadelphia Jefferson nickel, a coin that is quietly driving collectors into a frenzy and sending treasure hunters scrambling through their piggy banks. To understand why this specific coin is capturing the imagination of the numismatic world, we have to travel back to the dawn of the 1980s. The United States Mint was undergoing a massive shift. For decades, the Philadelphia Mint had traditionally left its coins completely blank, bearing no mint mark whatsoever, while Denver used a D and San Francisco used an S. But by the turn of the decade, the Mint decided to standardize its production, officially stamping a proud letter P onto its coins. The Jefferson nickel received this treatment starting in 1980. By 1981, the Philadelphia Mint was pushing out hundreds of millions of these newly stamped nickels to keep up with the demands of a bustling, cash-heavy economy. On the surface, the 1981 Jefferson nickel looks just like any other modern 5-cent piece. The obverse features the classic, dignified profile of Thomas Jefferson, the nation's third president and the principal author of the Declaration of Independence. On the reverse sits Monticello, Jefferson's iconic Virginia plantation home, representing the architectural genius and deep history of early America. Millions of these coins were struck, circulating through grocery stores, arcade machines, and vending slots. Most of them were spent, scratched, worn down, and forgotten. Yet within that sea of ordinary currency, an incredibly small number of coins emerged from the die presses with catastrophic, beautiful flaws that should have been destroyed, but somehow escaped into the wild. What makes a 1981 P. Jefferson nickel truly legendary is the phenomenon of mint errors. When the machinery at the Philadelphia Mint was running at lightning-fast speeds to meet production quotas, things went wrong. Dies became misaligned, planchets split, and coins were struck multiple times or off-center. Consider the holy grail of this specific year, the dramatic off-center strike. Imagine a blank metal coin or planchet failing to feed correctly into the striking collar. The heavy steel die slams down with tons of pressure, but it only catches a portion of the metal. The result is a surreal, distorted coin where Jefferson's face is pushed to the very edge, leaving a smooth, blank crescent of copper-nickel alloy on the other side. If you happen to find one of these where the full 1981 date and the critical P mint mark are perfectly preserved on the rim, you're looking at a coin that collectors will fight over at auction. But the mystery goes even deeper. Serious coin hunters are always looking for what they call the filled mint mark or the re-punched mint mark. In 1981, the mint marks were still applied to the working dies by hand using a steel punch. If a worker struck the punch twice, or if the dies suffered from severe deterioration, the letter P could become completely filled with metal, appearing as a solid blob, or it could show distinct doubling. There are even documented cases of massive broad strikes, where the coin is stamped without its protective collar, causing the metal to expand outward like a pancake, creating an oversized, bizarre version of the nickel. You might wonder how much these anomalies are actually worth. While a regular, War 1981 nickel is worth exactly 5 cents, a certified mint error can command astronomical premiums. Minor misalignments might net a collector $20 or $30, but high-grade, dramatic errors like a double strike or a perfect off-center strike can easily soar into hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on the condition. The ultimate dream for any treasure hunter is a transitional alloy error or a coin struck on the wrong planchet entirely, such as a nickel accidentally struck on a penny planchet, giving the coin a distinct, fiery copper hue. These are the one-of-a-kind masterpieces that make headlines in the coin collecting community. The real tragedy is that many of these incredibly valuable coins have passed through the hands of ordinary citizens who had absolutely no idea what they were holding. They look at the coin, see a slight distortion, assume it was damaged by a lawnmower or smashed on a train track, and spend it. But true numismatists know that the difference between post-mint damage and a genuine United States mint error is the difference between literal trash and a golden ticket. A genuine mint error shows crisp, clear details where the metal flowed under immense pressure, a signature of the heavy machinery that forged it. This brings us to a fascinating question. How many of these rare 1981 P errors are still sitting in old jars, forgotten couch cushions, or abandoned safe deposit boxes right now? The coin hunting community estimates that hundreds of unique varieties and major errors are still waiting to be discovered. Every time someone buys a box of nickels from a local bank to go roll hunting, they are participating in a real-life lottery where the entry fee is just face value, but the payout can be life-changing. To find one of these treasures yourself, you have to know exactly what to look for. You need to train your eyes to look past the surface grime and focus on the tiny details. Examine the lettering of "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." Look closely at the steps of Monticello on the reverse side. In the world of Jefferson nickel collecting, a coin with full steps, meaning the architectural lines of the building are completely crisp and unblemished by the strike, is incredibly rare for the 1981 P issue, because the Philadelphia Mint was notorious for using worn, tired dies that left the reverse looking soft and blurry. A 1981 P nickel with a flawless obverse, perfectly defined full steps on the reverse, and a distinct mint error is the ultimate trifecta. The story of the 1981 Philadelphia nickel is a powerful reminder that history and wealth are often hidden in plain sight. It tells a story of an era when America was redefining its currency, a time of mechanical transition, and a testament to the beautiful mistakes that can happen when human craftsmanship meets industrial mass production. It proves that you do not need a map, a shovel, or an expensive metal detector to find buried treasure. Sometimes, all you need is a keen eye, a bit of patience, and the curiosity to look closely at the change inside your own pocket. The next time you receive a handful of coins at a store, don't just shove them away. Take a brief moment to look for that small, historic letter P next to Jefferson's profile, and check the edges, the alignment, and the date. You might just be holding a piece of secret history, a mechanical anomaly that bypassed the watchful eyes of quality control inspectors over 40 years ago. Have you ever looked through your old coins and found something that looked a little unusual? Could a rare 1981 error be hiding in your home right now? Pull out those old coin jars, check the dates, and share your most incredible finds in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden fortunes of the numismatic world. Keep hunting, keep your eyes sharp, and remember that the next ordinary coin you flip might just be the treasure you've been searching for your entire life. Imagine holding a piece of metal in your hand worth absolutely nothing more than 5 cents. You look at it, flip it over, and toss it into a jar with 100 others just like it. But what if one of those pocket change coins was actually a ghost hiding in plain sight? What if a tiny, microscopic flaw or an impossibly perfect strike turned that ordinary 5-cent piece into a treasure worth thousands of dollars? Every day, millions of people handle American nickels without a second thought. But tonight, we are digging deep into the mystery of one specific coin that has collectors tearing through their collections with a magnifying glass: the 1989 D. Monticello Thomas Jefferson nickel. To the untrained eye, it is just pocket change from the late 80s. But to the elite world of numismatics, certain examples of this exact coin are legendary. Why are some versions worth exactly 5 cents, while others spark intense bidding wars at major auction houses? The secret lies in a mixture of industrial perfection, historic design, and a phenomenon known to coin hunters as the holy grail of modern nickels. To understand why a 1989 nickel minted in Denver can be so incredibly valuable, we have to travel back in time to the origin of the design itself. For decades, the United States nickel featured the iconic buffalo design. But in 1938, the U.S. Mint decided it was time for a radical change. They announced a national competition to design a new coin honoring the third president of the United States, Thomas Jefferson, to commemorate his upcoming bicentennial. The winner of that contest was a talented artist and sculptor named Felix Schlag. Schlag designed a beautiful, classic profile of Jefferson for the front, known as the obverse. For the back, or the reverse, he featured an exquisite, detailed depiction of Jefferson's beloved Virginia estate, Monticello. Schlag's design was an instant classic. It captured the spirit of American architecture and statesmanship, and it would go on to be minted by the billions for over half a century. By the time the year 1989 rolled around, the Denver Mint was a powerhouse of coin production. That year alone, the Denver facility struck over 570 million Jefferson nickels, stamped with that famous little D mint mark just to the right of Monticello. Because of this massive production run, the 1989 D nickel is considered incredibly common. If you go through a box of nickels from the bank right now, you're almost guaranteed to find a few of them. Under normal circumstances, a coin with a mintage that high is worth exactly face value. So, how on earth does a common coin from 1989 suddenly become a treasure? The answer lies in the brutal reality of heavy machinery. When hundreds of millions of coins are being slammed out by giant minting presses every single day, the heavy steel dies that stamp the images onto the metal blanks begin to wear down. As the dies degrade, the fine details of the design start to blur and fade. To make matters worse, as soon as these fresh coins drop from the presses, they tumbled into giant ballistic bins, hitting each other and creating thousands of tiny scratches, dings, and scuffs. This is what collectors call bag marks. Because of this chaotic process, finding a 1989 D nickel that survived without a single scratch is like finding a needle in a haystack. But there is a secondary, much more unforgiving standard that separates the common pocket change from the multi-thousand-dollar treasures: the full steps designation. If you turn a Jefferson nickel over and look closely at the base of the Monticello mansion, you will see a tiny set of steps leading up to the entrance. On a standard, everyday nickel, those steps are completely blurry. They blend together into a smooth, featureless ramp because the striking pressure wasn't perfectly dialed in, or the die was too worn down to crisp out those tiny lines. But on rare, miraculous occasions, a brand new pair of dies would strike a coin with absolute, flawless perfection. When a coin collector talks about a full steps Jefferson nickel, they're looking for 5 or 6 perfectly defined, unbroken horizontal steps on the back of the building. There cannot be any scratches cutting across them. There cannot be any blending of the lines. It requires a pristine strike from a perfect die, and it must somehow escape the mint without getting dinged up by other coins. When a 1989 D nickel achieves this level of perfection, grading companies like PCGS or NGC award it the prestigious Full Steps classification, often abbreviated as FS. Suddenly, a coin that was meant to buy a piece of bubblegum is transformed into a museum-quality artifact. Collectors who want to assemble the finest registry sets in the world will pay astronomical sums to own the highest graded example in existence. While a regular uncirculated 1989 D nickel might sell for a couple of dollars, an elite specimen graded mint state 67 or 68 with full steps can shatter records, commanding hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. But the hunt for the 1989 D nickel doesn't stop with flawless perfection. There's an entirely different group of treasure hunters looking for the exact opposite: the glorious mistakes. In the fast-paced environment of the Denver Mint in 1989, things occasionally went wrong. Incredibly wrong. Imagine a copper nickel blank getting caught in the machinery and being struck dramatically off-center. Some 1989 D nickels have been discovered struck 60% off-center, leaving a blank crescent of metal on one side, while Jefferson's face is pushed completely to the edge. Other times, a coin would be struck through foreign debris like grease or a stray piece of cloth, leaving a ghostly, faint imprint of the design. There are even rare broad-struck errors, where the protective collar that holds the coin in place fails, causing the metal to expand outward like a pancake under the immense pressure of the press. These errors are scarce because the mint has strict quality control measures to destroy mistakes before they leave the building. Yet, somehow, a handful of these mechanical anomalies slipped past the inspectors, bagged up with standard coins, and made their way into the public's hands. Today, an error coin like a dramatic off-center 1989 D-strike is highly prized, fetching hundreds of dollars from collectors who fascinate over the chaotic moments of minting history. The true magic of the 1989 D Jefferson nickel is that it bridges the gap between the average person and the elite collector. It reminds us that treasure isn't always buried deep underground in a wooden chest or lost at the bottom of the ocean in a sunken pirate ship. Sometimes historical significance, artistic beauty, and immense financial value are sitting quietly at the bottom of your purse, resting in your car's cup holder, or wedged between the cushions of your couch. Have you ever taken a truly close look at the coins in your spare change jar? Have you ever flipped over a nickel from the 1980s and checked the steps on the back of Monticello? The next time you receive a handful of coins at a grocery store checkout, take a brief moment to look past the surface. Examine the mint mark, check the crispness of the lines, and look for anything unusual. You might just be holding a piece of history that completely changes your fortune. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the hidden treasures of everyday pocket change, make sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and give this video a thumbs up. Let us know down in the comments if you have ever found a rare coin or an error variant in your own collection. Thank you for watching, and happy hunting out there. To see a visual breakdown of how these specific grades and step details look under a coin microscope, you can explore this 1989 D Jefferson nickel value analysis. https://www.youtube.com/watch?v=5li 4G4lu, which explains how grading can drastically alter the market value of common nickels.